Well, what is in the book? What does it tell us? It has been kept for 54 years and disclosed in April 2013. Almost 7.5 years passed since then. So what about its contents? The book starts with the amorphous matter and the constitution of matter. We found that this was the part readers mostly have found difficult. The book technically explains that amorphous matter, which has not yet received any influence, that is, the original matter, which we will elaborate on one by one, this is not the creation, but how our universe is created. I emphasize this. Our own universe, because the book will tell us there are many universes, many other universe substances. So it tells us about the substance of our own universe and the constitution of matter that makes up our own universe. Then, how the first influence, termed as the original influence, coming from the original principle, which is from outside the universe, filtered through the unitary, that is, through a unity of comprehensions, and how the motion occurs in matter with this original influences coming from the original principle. Also, the relationship with spirit and matter. In the book, spirits are defined as supersubstance truths. In this way, the book gives us completely different concepts than our previous knowledge. We used to say, I have a spirit. And now, with the book, spirits turn out to be a supersubstance truth, a truth beyond our universe. It tells us there can't be a direct connection between spirit and matter. There's only an indirect connection via the influences. And with this incoming influence to matter, matter responds to them by changing, by becoming more complex so it can manifest its inherent potential, by responding to the influences, and by the development of those responses, how matter develops in the process, and how matter's development is related to the evolution and the needs of these supersubstance truths that we cannot fathom now. Of course, the book repeats many times that further understanding of these processes are beyond our current comprehension. You know, the mind always asks why, and wants answers like, because of this, or the reason is that. The mind wants to draw a line, put a label, find an explanation. So, dear friends, as you read this book, especially the first part, if you can suspend this questioning mind for a little while, by putting your previous knowledge aside for a while, if you can read it with a fresh look, by not comparing the book with all we know so far, by allowing it to tell its content, then I'm sure you will appreciate and find it more meaningful.
Bir şekilde yararlanabiliriz. O nedenle bu ilk başladığımızda da
Next week, I and our friend Bilgehan Meral from Adana Spiritual Research Society will continue reading the book.
O size anlatıyor olacağız. O da mühendis.
He is an engineer. I am an engineer.
Özellikle Bilgehan kuantum konusunda
and Bilgehan is deeply informed on quantum theory on matter. So together we will read and try to discuss the part we read every week throughout this month. In the following months, more of our friends will join this effort of reading and discussing parts of the book. We would like to have this series as a relay race, not as a one-person effort to multiply the influence of the book. Consider it a marathon. We start now, but when will it be finished? Well, our concern is not to finish it, but to share some important concepts with you, to make these clearer. So, we reserve Monday evenings for this series, and in case you missed the live streaming, do not worry. It is free, and we will upload the video recording to our YouTube channel right after each live event. Let me check the live chat window. If you have questions about the past so far, please write them.
Ses geldikten sonra herhangi bir yorum gelmemiş.
I'd like to receive and answer your questions. At the same time, I check my other computer to see your comments in the YouTube live stream.
Almayı ve yanıtlamayı arzu ederim. Bir yandan da çünkü gözüm diğer bilgisayarımda, oradan da sizden gelen yorumları YouTube'dan yayınlıyor olacağım.
Alright, let me continue talking about the contents of the book.
Ne vardı bu kitabın içerisinde? Dedik ki
we already mentioned matter, the relationship between matter and spirit, positioning of spirits in a different way by defining them as supersubstance truths. The book also talks about novice spirits that are not familiar with the matter of our universe. Of course, we have no knowledge about how spirits' relationships or appearance in other universes are like. Yet for manifestation to occur in this amorphous matter that has not yet received any influence, first influences come from the original principle. Then with the first incoming influence, the first hydrogen atom emerges. And the book tells us that this is not the hydrogen atom we now know. It is much simpler. Until the atom reaches the stage we now display in the periodic table, it needs to go through many subhydrogen stages where more passive adaptation occurs. As we read on, we will be elaborating on these stages and milieus. So, we see this concept of original principle, the original influence, the whole mechanism of influences, responses of matter to it, emerging of appearances, how the being comes about with the occurrence of atoms as they combine their energies with influences. The book defines the being as a whole of energies and influences, the diversity of beings.
Ve bu anlamda da varlık çeşitliliği ve biz de bir varlığız. Yani o zaman aslında
So instead of saying I have a spirit, we can say I have a spiritual being. With the book, we now place the spiritual being between the spirit and human being.
Bu bağlamda da insan aşamasına gelince
and until reaching the human stage, it talks about all those previous stages we went through. The plant stage, the animal stage, some other experiences that occur outside the world, but still in the solar system, and then reaching the human stage. The book details all those stages, the function of the brain, and the book gives us a completely new model of consciousness, the concepts of subconscious, the consciousness, the unconscious in the field of psychology are revised by this book. In our series, together we will elaborate on these. Also, the constitution of the human being, how such memories we quoted from Bedri Salman's book are recalled. For example, from conception to birth, all the stages within the womb, even today's neurology science finds that many diseases, problems, traits, etc. that we would have in our lifetime have their roots in this period we spent in our mother's womb. Let's say of becoming diabetic, or of our sexual orientation, or if you will develop Alzheimer's disease or not. All of these are determined while we are in the womb. Yet how and why of that process, the science does not yet have a clue. Now, by the knowledge we glean from the divine order in the universe, we will talk about the brain cell beings, how a being transforms all these material, physical and emotional traits, the role of subconscious in recalling past lives, how the brain and all those consciousness centers and the relationship between these, and also the mechanism of sleep and dreaming, mechanism of mediumship, mechanism of healing. And as we will talk about this consciousness model, we will see the book will enlighten us about the basic mechanisms underlying everything we now experience. Then we will move into the topics like destiny and fate. A major part of the book is dedicated to the concept of time, by discerning superficial time, spherical time. So we will discuss these in detail.